Hey guys, what's going on? All Hail King 9 back with another Call of Duty Daily Fantasy Sports video for the Saturday of the London home series. So, we're back again after Friday. I always say that Friday's always the toughest one to predict. Didn't do too bad. My lineups did very well. I was just got burned in a few of them. I had Blast in it, and that one he kind of messed up some of the lineups I had. Still, the lineup did very well, but a lot of people stacked the Dallas game, and that also kind of hurt me in a few of the contests I was in, just because they all played so well against Paris, and I didn't think they'd be able to throw up that many points in. I thought it was just going to be 3-0. It ended up going 3-1, so that kind of hurt because they got that extra respawn, so they were able to get some additional points there. But you live and you learn, and definitely learned a lot from those Friday games, and I'm excited for the Saturday slate. Have a little bit of a different strategy for this one. A couple different options here, in my opinion. So without a further ado, I'm just going to hop right into it, and as I always do, go matchup by matchup, and then build a lineup here, and then hop on over to DraftKings and do a lineup on there as well. So let's get into it. All right, so the first matchup of the day on Saturday is going to be a great one. It's going to be the Dallas Empire versus the New York Subliners. So obviously, Dallas looked incredible, given they were playing Paris, one of the worst teams in the league right now. But they looked incredible with this new meta. It's the first time we saw them with this new meta, and they just have such talented players. And it ended up being Hook, Illy, and Shotzi all had like 1.4 KDs in the match yesterday. Just absolutely ridiculous stuff. They're just so talented. They could pick up the MP5, they could pick up the M4. They're gonna do damage. So this meta really suits Empire so well. This should be a really good series though, because we have New York, who's so hot right now as well. They just won the last event, and I'm pretty sure they're on like a 12 map win streak or something crazy like that. So they look dominant as well. It should be a bloodbath for the first game on Saturday, but a good competitive series means a lot of points to be scored for us in this DFS. So, just talking a little bit about what I like from this matchup. Obviously, I said all three players from Dallas, Illy, Hook, and Shotzi, all were incredible. And I think you have to have two of the three of them in this lineup. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and put Illy in my MVP spot for now. 8,600. I don't know why FanDuel didn't change this at all. Put up 144. Incredible stuff. Yeah, he played Paris, but I think what it really showed was that he's going to be a threat with this new meta here. So I think he's a great option. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Hook or Shotzi in that MVP spot. You can't go wrong with any of the three, as I said. So the second person I'm going to have from Dallas is going to be Hook instead of Shotzi. I just think that Hook looked a lot better, and he has been playing really well in the previous events, but he looked so good on Friday. He has a couple games where he dips under 100, but I think that, like I said, same with Italy, this new meta is really going to suit them really well, and I think that he's going to be able to dominate. He was also an incredible objective player yesterday. You can see 142 seconds of capture time, and I think that he and Shotzi just have so much upside to them. Like I said, you can't go wrong with either of them. You can't fault going with any of these 2 out of the 3, but those are the 2 I'm going to pick here for this lineup. Now, moving on to the New York side of things, I think that they look really good still. I mean, the easy matchup, same as Dallas did for the Friday, so there's not too much to take away from it, but we saw what they could do in the last event. Mac is going to be super consistent, going to put up a lot of points. Attach has looked phenomenal lately, but I don't really love this matchup for Attach because he's a submachine gun player and is just going to be going up against players that are a lot more talented than him, in my opinion, being Illy and Hook and Shotzi. I think that he might have a tough time with that, so I'm going to stay away from him for that, for this matchup. But Temp also a great option, but the player I'm gonna go after here is gonna be accuracy. I love his price. It always seems to be pretty low here, but you can see he's been absolutely killing it in the new since the new meta. 130 in the last match, if the last event, and then on Friday he put up 118. He actually had the most points scored for New York in that Friday matchup yesterday. So definitely going to go after accuracy here again. He just looks so comfortable. He's always been a great AR player, but just because ARs dominate in this new meta, he's playing even better than he has in the past. So that's going to be it for this series, and I'm going to hop into the next one now. Alright, so the next series we have is London versus Florida, and this should be another great series. So back-to-back, really, really good series here. And so starting on the London side of things, they all had very good games from the London Royal Ravens, but once again, the common theme here from these Friday games, they had an easy matchup. A little bit of a weird matchup as they played Seattle, and there was some connection issues, and the fourth map just ended up being played with only 4 players on the Seattle side. So, that was some weird stuff there. So, not a complete grasp of what to expect, but London's a great team. They always struggle with the top teams. That's what they've struggled with all season long. So this is going to be a huge test for them. But I think the safest picks here from London is obviously going to be Wuskin and Scraps, the twins. They always are good. They're great AR players. They're gonna get points. I don't love the matchup, but I mean I can't fault you guys for wanting to go Wuskin or Scraps. But a player that I think is maybe an interesting pick. I'm not gonna have him in this particular lineup, but I think Shawnee. Great price tag for 7,900, and you can see the last two matches he's been playing really good, and he's gonna get a decent amount of kills, but he's a great objective player as well. And I think that he's a pretty decent option to look at if you want to try to save some money here instead of picking an accuracy if you don't like that and try to go with a different player like Shawnee. But yeah, that's probably all I'd go for on the London side. But for the Florida side, I mean, they looked so good. I mean, the team maybe not as good as they had been in previous events, but in a DFS point of view, every single one of them, except for Frosty, put up huge numbers against Optic Gaming on Friday, and I expect more of the same. I think this should be a competitive series. I think that Florida will probably end up winning this series again, but, I just love all the players, like I said, except for Frosty, for a DFS point of view. So I think something interesting here on this slate that you could probably do is just stack these first 2 games of the day and kind of just forget about those last 2 games, because honestly you could fit in a ton of great players. I'll show you guys how you could build this lineup here with just players from this game, and I think that it's going to get you so many points. You probably will win your contests. So I think that from the Florida side of things, you could get 3 of the players, and those 3 are obviously going to be one. It's going to be Awakening. I think you could go Awakening or Skies here. My personal opinion, I think that Awakening is the better option, just because he is a bit of a flex player. He could play that MP5, he could play that M4, and he always puts up big numbers here. You could see he's never gone below 100. Put up 136 on Friday. I just think he's a safer pick than Skies. Skies always has an incredible KD, but that's about all he does, so not as big as of an upside as Awakening has. But I think Skies is a great play as well. But for me, I'm going to go with Awakening, and then I'm going to pick their 2 subs as well. So Havoc yesterday had the best performance of any of them on the team. Put up 151. You could see he's been on a hot streak. Since moving to online, Florida just, as you guys know, have just been so dominant, and it's a huge part in because of these subs. Havoc and Pharaoh are such good aggressive submachine gun players. And for me, I'm going to have both of them in there. So Havoc and Pharaoh. Pharaoh being 8,000 is pretty absurd in my opinion. He's never gone below 100. So, in a very, very long time. So it really doesn't make sense to me why he's so cheap. Definitely pencil him into your lineup. I think he's a must there. And yeah, like I said, I think this is probably the best option for the slate tomorrow. These last 2 games really aren't great. I'm going to go over the matchups, but I don't think I'm going to have any of the players in this particular lineup. I will build other lineups probably, and maybe have a couple of the players that I'll talk about. But the hardest part of this slate, in my opinion, is picking this team. So we have 6,500. We could take any team we want. Now, I think Dallas Empire is going to win. I think they'll be able to beat New York Subliners, but, New York's really hot. Dallas looks great. It could go either way. I think that one, I wouldn't be surprised if New York won, but I think Dallas should be able to take that. It might go 5 games, but I think they should take it. Then we move on to Florida. I think Florida should be able to beat London. London always struggles with the top teams, as I said. I think Florida might be a little bit of a safer pick than Dallas. Then you go to Optic Gaming. Both Optic Gaming and Seattle are really fighting to get these wins late in the season as we move closer to the Call of Duty championship. So, I don't really trust Optic. They look better with their 2 new subs, but I don't know if you really want to trust that when Seattle's really fighting for the win as well. And then you move to New York, obviously. Talked about that in the Dallas game. Could go either way. London, maybe they win it, but probably a lesser chance. And then I always get burned by the Los Angeles Guerrillas, but I feel like it might be a decent pick there because Paris is struggling. I know in the last event, Los Angeles lost 3-0 to Paris, but they were all super, super close games. It could have gone either way in that. It could have been a 3-0 in favor of Los Angeles. I think that might be an interesting play. You have that team, in my opinion, has the best shot of 3-0ing a team out of any of these top teams. But for me, I think I'm probably just going to go with... it's so tough. Florida or Dallas, I think, is probably going to be the best picks there. For this, I'm going to go ahead and pick... I'm going to go ahead and pick on Dallas there. So I'm going to lock that in. Alright, so even though I already have my lineup built here, I will go over these two last matches just to, kind of break it down for you guys if you want to pick some of these players and be a little bit different for these games. For the Paris side of things, I don't love any of these players. They look really bad right now. Like, Luka's their top player. Dreadful performance there. They're playing Los Angeles again, which the last time they played, he put up 118, so I'd probably say Luka's the best. I think Denz would be the second option there. Only put up 81.7, though, against Los Angeles, so, probably wouldn't pick any of these Paris players. For the Los Angeles side, I picked Blast yesterday. He absolutely killed me, 61.8, and he struggled very badly against Paris the last time. But I think Blast is their best player. Decimate's a close second, in my opinion, even though he's priced higher. Aqua's a decent pick. But, like I said, I really would stay away from this game. There's really not a ton of value here. I think there's more value in the last game, which will be the Seattle versus Optic Gaming. So, like I said before, kind of a weird situation happened with Seattle. We're disconnected. I don't know how they'll show up for tomorrow. It's such a unfortunate event that now they have to rebound, and who knows if they will rebound or if they'll just be pissed off and not even want to, compete for this final match, because if they lose, they're just out of this event already. So I don't know how they'll show up, but if I had a pick players from Seattle, it'd definitely be Octane. He's still priced pretty low to be one of the best ARs in the game. He was absolutely slaying it out against London until, they had that problem in that 4th map. They probably would have won the 4th map, in my opinion, and it would have gone to a Game 5. He easily would have went over 110 points probably. Probably would have had like 120. So he was on pace for playing absolutely great. He probably will play great again if it's a competitive series and they show up to play tomorrow in a must-win game for both of these teams, honestly. The second player from Seattle, and the only other player would probably be Apathy. He didn't have the greatest performance in fantasy points. Like, it didn't show for it, but he was playing great. If it's going to be a competitive series, Apathy's going to be he's going to be having a great series as well. For the Optic Gaming side of things, so we saw what they look like with these 2 new amateur players, being Draza and Hollow, and yeah, they looked a lot better than what they have been. I think Draza's the better option here if you want to, or probably the best option on this Optic Gaming team. He's a cheap player at 8,000. put up 125 in his debut. He's an aggressive submachine gun player. He's going to get a ton of engagements. If he wins those engagements, he's going to get you a ton of points. So I think he's a pretty decent pick. Personally, well, I might build a couple lineups with him in it just because I think that he does have a pretty high upside for his price. And then the only other player would be Slasher, but I think he's priced too high. Obviously, their best player on their team right now, but 10,000. I don't really love that against Seattle, where he's going to have to be going up against Octane in that AR battle, and Octane's probably a little bit better than him right now. So yeah, that's all I have for here on FanDuel. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to DraftKings now. All right, so over here on DraftKings now, I'm going to do something. I'm not going to break down every matchup here. So if you missed that and you fast forward through the video, just go back to the FanDuel part. I did go matchup by matchup and break down kind of my favorite players from each game. And yeah, so on FanDuel, I had Illy as my MVP, but on here, I'm going to have Shotzi. I think that he's just a little bit more of a safer pick here in that MVP spot. And then, similar to FanDuel, I'm going to be stacking these first two games. I just think that they have the best value in these two games. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm still going to have Illy in my lineup. I think he's definitely worth it, being at $7,400. It's super cheap. Also going to have Hook as well. And then from the London and Florida game, I'm going to put in Awakening and Havoc. And then I'm also going to take the Florida team. Florida's the most expensive here. I'm going to take Florida. I think that, I said in the FanDuel part there, but these two games are super tough to pick the winner. I think Florida's a little bit safer just because London always seems to struggle against these top-tier teams. So, yeah, I'm going to take Florida, and that's going to be the lineup here. So that's going to be the lineup here. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to have in my comment section pin link. It's going to be to my PayPal. Somebody asked me to have my PayPal there for tips. I don't expect it from you guys, but it would be greatly appreciated as I do put in a lot of time to make this content and a lot of time to research. But I thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're new for more Call of Duty content in the future. Comment any feedback, and I wish you guys the best of luck, and hopefully we win some money tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.